Jamano Money Transfer Bureau de Change, your go-to option when it comes to money transfer. With Jamano, you can send money from anywhere in the world to your family and loved ones in the Gambia and be sure the funds will be delivered to them within the shortest time possible. For your convenience, funds sent through Jamano Money Transfer can be picked from all the banks and multiple other financial institutions, including Ajib Bank, Trust Bank, GT Bank, Mega Bank, Basic Bank, Reliance Financial Services, and Approved Services. Visit our head office at Bruceby opposite AfricMed next to Trust Bank Limited or email us at info@jamanomt.com. You can as well call us on 310-3050 or 310-3051 or yet still 733-0688. Our opening hours are 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday to Saturday and 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Sunday. Jamano Money Transfer, your most trusted money transfer service where customer satisfaction is paramount. When you think of a simple, fast, and reliable money transfer, think Jamano Money Transfer.
I get it. Albaka.
Mbaka important.
Yo, nga transfer la sto.
Ya transfer la sto.
Ha, code nyingi.
Okay. What's Nsila ID sort of.
That's sorry. I get it.
Bijan bro.
Albaka.
Mbaka.
Bara alla service o tariya. Mbale ki janna nun kunu bara tariya.
Jannom yona forest de bureau. Gambia tonkon na no mbali ya bere. Birim koyna fo kato.
Bari si kodo kino kato ni fo bolong blabe to.
56 branches mola sota Gambia jam.
Ha?
Gambia kono ani Gambia bantala bankol. Nko kodo kiya bere to. Kodo sifa fo falindiro fo nyaadi lafta même na kodi to poto nin kodi maraw. Jannom number 1 di nyonta. Andum fana nata anoda enterprise sotale. Wolam nyindi ko domorol fana kol fana be firale le dadi mani domorol dil fana beteat. Gambia dawda yalo ngam fa kendol sotale je.
Wo moyo diat.
Apelenta
baraka ba. Ni lafta nyelen kendol e bina.
Yalo bukani la ko la baraka ba.
Yalo ndel chosano lo.
Abaraka.
Islamic microfinance is becoming an increasingly popular mechanism for poverty alleviation, especially for developing countries around the world. This microfinance service adheres to the principles of Islam as a form of social responsibility. Yona Islamic Microfinance is the Islamic microfinance of choice in the Gambia, trustworthy and reliable. At Yona Islamic Microfinance, we provide savings products, current accounts, financing products in conformity with Islam. In addition, Yona Islamic Microfinance also offers local and international remittances, takaful fund, management of zakat, management of awqaf, trading and investment, and building of strategic partnerships to bring financial services to the doorstep of the poor with donor projects, madrasas, youth organizations, women groups, and farmer organizations. Make a choice with Yona Islamic Microfinance today. For more information on Yona Islamic Microfinance, call 377-2151 or 9832-151 or visit Yona head office at Tipa Garage, Bakote, or visit any Yona branch located countrywide near you.
Good afternoon and welcome to the brunch on Kerfatu Live. I'm Lamin Cham and welcome once again to our weekly look at current affairs. That is stories that have attracted attention over the last 7 days. And one of them, of course, has been the reported leaking of a letter requesting payments for security and other government officials due to accompany the mother of His Excellency the President for a medical checkup in Senegal. Ever since the letter was leaked online, there have been reactions from all quarters. Many people criticized the action as an attempt to quote them, misuse government sources rather, while government officials responded that the expenditure or the request was for a legitimate expenditure. Well, one man, of course, if you like, at the eye of the storm is the Honorable Mordecai Ceesay. He is the Minister for Presidential Affairs as well as Chief of Staff, Office of the President, from where the letter purportedly emanated. The Honorable Minister is my guest in this program, and before I do everything, I want to welcome him and thank him very well and very much for accepting our invitation to come on the show. Honorable Minister, welcome to the brunch.
Mr. Cham, good afternoon. Good afternoon to your viewers, and I'm glad to be here.
Very good. Now, this is your first time on the brunch, and we usually get our guests to do a little bit of introduction about themselves. Well, I know you very well in the civil service from various sectors before your elevation to Chief of Staff and then now Minister for Presidential Affairs. Let's go a little bit back. How did your civil service career started and when?
I started my career at the Ministry of Finance in 1994.
Oh, 94.
Just at the tail end.
Okay.
I think we were the last batch that were recruited
Okay.
by that administration. We transited and started as a cadet
At the Ministry of Finance.
at the Ministry of Finance with the onset of the Jami administration.
Then you must have found the last few days of Bakari Dabo as minister. In fact, he continued after the coup.
Yes.
He was minister when he came.
Yes.
Okay. Right. Will you work directly the Accountant General Department or you were at directly Minister of
No,
Finance?
I was at the Loans and Debt Management Department.
Oh, loans and debt management.
Yes.
Okay. Right. Then the AMRC, of course, was very active at the time.
Yes, quite. Yes.
And then from there?
From there on, we rose through the rank to head that particular department.
Okay.
Over a long period of time.
Yes.
In between, we went for overseas studies.
Okay.
In London.
Okay.
From the period 1997, 98, then 99 we came back.
Okay.
Then continued until 2005.
Yeah.
We went back for our master's program at the same university.
In the United Kingdom.
University of Birmingham.
Oh, Birmingham. Okay.
Yes. And then returned and exited, of course, civil service.
Oh,
To go to serve at the West African Institute for Finance and Economic Management in Nigeria,
okay.
where we were.
You said YFM, they call it. YFM, yes. Yes, sorry about that. Okay. Okay, all right, go ahead.
We spent 2 terms there and then returned back to government.
Okay.
Sometime in 2009, 2010.
Okay.
2010 and become Deputy Permanent Secretary in charge of course, Loans and Debt Management Administration. But then we also now had the department portfolio was also split you have now added aid coordination
Yes.
into it, but also public financial management.
Okay.
And then also we had PPP unit.
That is the public procurement
unit were also added.
Okay.
I was there then in 2013. I was then promoted as permanent secretary, and then served until 2015. Mid 2015, then I was shot.
Yes. I was going to ask how you survived the Jammeh regime up to now, but so you also had your
yes. Then only returned in 2017.
2017.
Yes.
To the finance ministry.
To the finance ministry.
Okay.
Of course, I also, between this period of 1994 to 2017, of course, briefly also served at the PCU of the Ministry of Education.
That's the project coordination unit
of the Ministry of Education as deputy project coordination.
Okay.
Coordination officer for about, I think, 2 years.
Okay.
So in 2017, I was back at the ministry. 2017, then 2018.
That is probably when the new government sorted out those who have been unlawfully dismissed and reinstated.
Exactly. We were reinstated without any compensation anyway.
But I was told others were compensated.
That was largely the army. The
army
in the security, yes.
No, but there are others who did not come back, but they were compensated, and they are civilians.
I am not aware.
I heard about 1 or 2 cases.
Options were there to come back. If you
options were there. Yes. Maybe those who didn't come back are the ones who got compensated, perhaps.
Maybe that would be the case.
Then you probably you were therefore, obligated to ask for compensation. Now that you are better placed, you probably can ask for it.
No, we won't, because we sign off on an understanding. Bearing in mind also that at least this administration have done some effort to wrong a right.
Wrong. But this will have right it. This will have right the wrong completely
with a check.
Unfortunately,
that was not the case.
Okay.
But we moved on and we accepted. Since then, we've moved to Ministry of Petroleum and Energy.
Okay.
When we were posted there, we also had the responsibility of also matching the two ministry, energy and petroleum.
Yeah.
And then we were also the first to move into the new building called the Petroleum House.
Yes, right here.
I did some very good work there because we oversaw the transformation of the petroleum portfolio and now transform into a petroleum commission.
Yeah.
But we also reactivated the mining sector significantly.
All right.
And the energy sector at the time was also in crisis. We also have the trouble of making sure that energy or the power situation in the country was also largely resolved.
I see.
With development of a very strong and robust roadmap and strategy plan. And of course supported by resource mobilization also to see its implementation. Having done that, we came back briefly to the Ministry of Finance with Mambure from JNPC.
Yes.
And after a year, I was then moved to Ministry of Works and Transport and Infrastructure.
Yes.
Where again we show the completion of transformative projects such as the Senegambia Bridge, but also the bridge and road networks in URR.
All right, yes.
And also initiated the locally funded initiative of the road expansion in both rural and as well as urban
areas. Yeah.
I am glad to report that thanks to the effort of course, the president, but of course with the support of the ministry, we then roll out the OIC, now OIC Highway, then Battle Highway, within a very short period of time, and also added the 50 kilometers.
20 roads.
the 20
OIC roads
of the urban area. And since then we have never looked back. I was glad and happy that in recognition I was also then moved on to Office of the President to support the presidency.
Yeah.
In the coordination of government programs.
Okay.
And policy formulation.
Okay.
And also to provide advice where necessary. Okay. And within that, for about 2 years, I was then also elevated now as Minister in charge of
Presidential Affairs.
Okay, this is where we need to now.
Yes, now I want you to
explain.
Yeah, we explain. How does the two roles now work in tandem? That chief of operation, we know when we are chief of staff, we know it of course means now that you are going to be the main chief operating officer in terms of president's office and other matters. But when you have, presidential affairs minister now, how are the two? How are you operating both?
By this time, the president found it useful to unbundle and unpack the administration and the setup at the presidency, bearing in mind now that you have Secretary General.
Yes.
You have Secretary Cabinet at the time.
Yes.
And they were doing now the function of exactly what the Ministry of Public Service is doing now.
Oh yeah. Okay.
In terms of public service administration oversight, but also delivery of government programs. And at the same time, having to take care of government business in cabinet. At the same time, having to do the, like you said, operation officer for the operation office of the office of the president.
Yes.
So the first reform would start with the Secretary General itself. You have Secretary General and Head of Civil Service. The Secretary General and Head of Civil Service, we now have to cut that into two. You have the Secretary General part that now rename Chief of Staff.
That is Chief of Staff.
And Head of Service now has to go to public service.
I see.
But because we have a legal, in terms of naming limitation, the Secretary General, which is also the Head of Service, because that is how
it was.
How it goes. The name Secretary General still have to be carried to public service. But by default, he was now technically Head of Service, supporting the Ministry of Public Service.
Okay.
Now the Secretary Cabinet stay as Secretary Cabinet and coordinating government papers in cabinet.
So the Secretary General position is now divided into two.
Yes.
The name Secretary, the Secretary.
He goes with the name.
It goes with the name.
But he left behind the technical work.
The technical work to
the Chief of Staff.
To the Chief of Staff.
Yes.
Okay. So now, who then is the Secretary General in this court?
Now currently, you mean?
Yes.
Currently, the Secretary Cabinet
should be the Secretary General.
Is also doubling as the Head of Civil Service.
Head of Civil Service.
So he's carrying two portfolio.
I see.
The portfolio of cabinet business.
Yes.
Or cabinet papers. But also Head of Civil Service.
I see.
Now he support the minister. He performed that role supporting the minister and the president.
The Minister of Public Affairs.
The Ministry of Public Service.
Public Service. That's
Babu
Karboy. As well as
the president with respect to advice and appointment of senior government officers.
Then who is Head of Civil Service now?
Who is Head of Civil Service?
That's yourself.
No, I'm not Head of Civil Service.
Yes.
I am responsible for the business of the president.
Okay.
Technical and advisory.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, who then can be called now Head of Civil Service from what you have described?
We have the Head of Civil Service. Who is? He's the Head Secretary Cabinet.
Oh, the same Secretary of Cabinet. You are right. Now I understand.
Yes.
He's the Head of the Civil Service. Okay.
And this reform was important because, like I said, and that's also what informed the elevation of the Chief of Staff.
Okay.
Into a ministerial. Some call it Minister in charge of Presidential Affairs Minister. But that's not also entirely correct.
Okay.
It's a minister at the presidency, but by default, I am okay with civil service. Chief of Staff.
Chief of Staff.
Chief of staff.
Okay.
The rank of the chief of staff is what is elevated as a minister. In a ministerial rank status. That's basically what it's trying to say. So that you also remove him from the civil service, and then
so that executive.
As an executive, because most of the work that he carries has some bearing on political matters. And a civil servant
cannot be in the I see.
In the political fray.
Yeah, but the presidential affairs minister also gives you access to go to cabinet now.
Yes, and that also gives
it wouldn't have been possible if you are chief of staff alone. No.
As a chief of staff alone, I was sitting in cabinet to support the president. I don't have a voice. I can't talk.
But with this now you can.
With this now you can
participate.
Yes,
you are equal to any other minister.
That's good.
Even if not more influential. Okay, that's quite impressive. You have an impressive career in the civil service, definitely. Let's go now to, well, as people will say, the elephant in the room. Last week, this memo or a request, was leaked online. Purportedly a letter from your office requesting a funding of $3.6 million, supposedly for security and other details accompanying the president's mom for a medical checkup in Dhaka. It sparked a lot of controversy. So I would like to know, and I'd like to put to you what people's concerns are, and then get your perspective. First of all, you confirmed, because what happened is most of these cases, people often thought that these are, people just pick these things and put them online, and that's why people initially hesitate, before they deal with them also. But then you came to confirm that this was a genuine, authentic correspondence from your office to the Ministerial of Finance. Then came questions as to one, how legitimate is the request for expenditure? Has it been disbursed already? How much of it has been disbursed? And then whether the president's mother qualifies as the president's family, which many people said only stops at the president, his spouses, and children. Now that you have spent a lot of time in the public service, you probably are more familiar with the GO and the financial management policies. First of all, how do you justify that the president's mom should have security and should have money allocated for those staff? People believe that she is not a public servant, that all her expenditure should be borne by her family member, example, the president. How did this come about?
Okay, Lamin, thank you. First, it's very important that people usually are courteous and doubtful, and don't believe everything that they see online.
Exactly.
That is the way it should.
Yeah.
Until confirmed. What happened in this case is that you have the leak, and then there was a statement from the UDP that raised concern and also request for refund. Then I had to respond and provide some clarity and explanation, and that's what informed my reactions to the issue.
Yes.
I responded by indicating that yes, this is a real letter.
Yeah.
It's not fake. The manner in which it was leaked, that's what we frown upon, and not necessarily the substance or the content of the letter.
Okay.
Now, on the substance and content of the letter combined request for funds, request for fund or request for payment, for multiple commitments that were put together in the same letter. And one such commitment was in respect of medical checkup and treatment for.
So you mean the letter we saw? Of course, there was an indication that there was something else attached. You mean that? You mean that? I mean, what we've seen is there's a lot more than the 3.6 million. Actually, is requesting for more things than just Per diem.
Yeah, the letter on the surface, if you read it, you think that the 3.6 million was in respect of payment of per diem for accompanying officers.
Yes.
For the medical checkup of the old one. But you read further, it says Secretary General and others. And the Secretary General and others are separate missions. With respect to the force, that is the first comma, the medical checkup of the old lady, it amounts to 1.4. And those were payment purely for per diem. And it was paid to 2 drivers, 2 security, a nurse, and a chaperone. 6 people.
That is just 1.4 million.
That is 1.4 million over 14 days period. Nothing was paid in respect of medical cost, or accommodation, or feeding of the old man, of the old lady.
Okay, the question people want to ask is, those, you are now saying that the Secretary General and other staff are on a different trip.
Yes.
Not connected to the old woman.
Not connected at all.
But then, of course, they too, their per diems were also requested under the same 3.6 million.
Exactly.
Okay. Now, go back to the question. Is the first lady, or rather the old woman, actually eligible to benefit from government funds or government, personnel in terms of protection under the Constitution or under the finance management or under the GO that you are very much familiar with?
Okay, that sparked an interesting debate. Number one, I just wanted to clarify, nothing of that 4.4 million went on account of the president mom.
Yeah, so it's only 1.4.
1.4 per diem for official accompanying.
The question is, are those officials themselves entitled to go with her? Is she entitled to those officials?
Yes, she's entitled to those officers.
According to which law?
According to protection of the president and the family.
We know that the president and his family should be protected.
Yes.
But that is understood to be the president, his spouses, and children. Where is it stated that his mother should be there?
Where does it state that the family of the president exclude the mother or the father?
Okay. Good important point.
Well, but
you are more familiar with me.
Yes, but I'm saying under our societal setup,
yes,
we live with our fathers and our mothers.
Yes.
We don't abandon them in old people's home.
Yes.
And I couldn't see a situation where we can protect the president family without including the mother or the father, if he was alive. To that extent, we will have to secure the security of the old woman. And to that, we have detailed some security and other social support required by her for exactly to carry out this kind of services that they do. Now, nothing in our constitution define a family to exclude a mother and a father.
You mean, but in most cases,
and the query is about
Honorable Minister, in most cases, it is the president, his spouses, and children. That is recognized under the law, British law, common law, to make family. Relations like mother, brothers, are seen as relatives, not family.
Yeah, you can have relatives, but we can.
But relatives are not eligible to be paid by government.
Common law in England.
Yes,
the Queen's mother.
Yeah,
live on with her.
The Queen's mother
for a very long time.
But that's monarchy. But that's monarchical system.
No, wait. Lamin, you are asking me, you want me to also provide answer.
Okay, let's go.
And I am saying, consider for the fact that security of the president is never complete if we don't also take care of the security of the old lady, and you know why?
Of the parents.
Of the parent. Now, for that reason, therefore, the state has responsibility to provide security details and other support services, right? Now, a nucleus family, for me personally, I would, if I have to count, I would start with my father and my mother. Then myself, my spouse, and my kids. Extended family, then that's where what you are counting comes in. A brother, relatives and down the line. But a family starts with a father and a mother.
But that is in our culture.
No.
But not exactly in our books.
No. What? No, what is
the law said the president's family, and that's understood to be the constitution of the Gambia.
The constitution of the Gambia. No, the constitution of the Gambia. Look at it.
Okay, in the you work in the finance system. What did the financial management says about allocation of the presidency? Does it include the president's family? Does it include his parents as well?
I'm saying
you told me there's nowhere where it said it doesn't include them. That's what you're telling me.
I'm saying there's nowhere where it excludes them.
It excludes them.
That's what I'm saying. But you are saying it's not included.
Yes.
Right?
It's understood that it's not included.
That's what you understand.
Yeah.
But that's not correct. The law simply says protection of the president and the family.
And according to you, his parents are included.
Of course. Okay. But let's take that even further. I am saying, with respect to the payment, it has nothing to do with the old woman. These payments were given to personnel that were outside the Gambia doing their legitimate work.
Yeah, it's true. That's why we ask the legitimacy of her being entitled to government staff. Now you're just telling me that, well, since she qualifies to be a member of the president's family, she's entitled to have protection.
Of course.
That's what you're telling me.
Yeah.
So now that there is, according to you, that's legitimate, then it's a foregone conclusion, according to you, that the payments are legitimate because they have been made to people who are working in the system.
Yes. Well, okay, now let's move on. And I'm saying, interestingly, when this old woman went to Dakar for treatment, the government of Senegal provided her gratis in terms of medical care, provided her accommodation. And if the government of Senegal can provide that, are we saying the government of the Gambia cannot even extend such services to her?
I thought at first you said the treatments and other things were borne by the president.
Yes, I'm saying
I thought that what you said on West Coast Radio.
I said this is not the first time the old woman went to Senegal for treatment. And he has been going there
at the expense of the
president.
I see.
And interestingly, for this particular trip, Senegalese take care of it. And yet we Gambia here are shouting and complaining that taxpayers' fund should not also be.
You mean the Senegalese government, the funding from Senegal, because Senegalese taxpayers' money was given to him, given for her upkeep. So if that can happen in the spirit of solidarity, why can't we do it in the Gambia here?
Exactly.
Good question. I see. Okay, most people believe that, okay, this is morally unnecessary perhaps because they feel that the president has so many, he's paid $500,000 per month, if that is correct, that's what we had. So he should be able to pay for his mother's medical checkup and instead of asking the state to do that.
And he has been doing exactly that.
He's been doing that.
He has been doing that.
So this is the very first time that such a request comes.
No, I'm saying the request is not on account of treatment of the old woman.
No, check medical catch-up or treatment is all the same.
Yeah,
I'm saying nothing is spent on her, but at least
nothing is spent on her. It's the staff. The staff are government staff. They are my office staff.
So is this first time that you requested such, or each other time they've been paid from government?
Yes, they will be paid from government.
Okay, all right. Now, most people also are concerned since your government says, you always boast of quality medical service in this country. You sometimes say, in fact, people come here for medical tourism. So is it not ironical that when you are trumpeting quality medical service, you officials, including your family, are going elsewhere looking for medical treatment? What happened to the others who cannot afford it, who are not president's mom, who cannot have even transport fares to go to maybe to Banjul, to Neban Clinic? What happened to those people? And you keep saying that medical service quality is top notch in the Gambia. Is that not ironical?
Nothing is ironical, Lamin. I'm saying first, the overseas treatment is not limited to senior government officials and their families. It's a centralized vote at the level of the Ministry of Health, and when cases are determined that they require overseas treatment, recommendations are made by the medical board and the Ministry of Health will extend support. It's been done for senior government officials as it's been done also for ordinary persons. So there is no special treatment as such or as claimed. Number two, we have to understand that that is just the nature of government and development. We are better off in so many aspects. There are others who are also better than us in some aspect. In Senegal, we have seen troops of individuals, ladies and young women, coming to our health centers and primary health care and have been provided services. That is open secret. It's known. Either by proximity or service quality, they are coming. Now, in terms of higher medical service provision, we have to recognize that Senegal is much more advanced than us today. And there are cases that we cannot handle here, we will take to Senegal. There are instances that cases that we can handle, we cannot handle here, we will take to India. We will take to Europe or America or anywhere that we think if we can go there and provide medical help for our people, we will do it. This is not to say that our medical services is poor or is bad. And I have made the argument that we have been comparing ourselves with our past administration performances. And we all know this administration have done far better than any administration in the past history. Yes, we recognize that Jawara time he did Bansan. We do recognize that Jame time he did Farafenye and he did Biam. But look at also what this administration did. In literally all the major district and major regional centers in this country, we have now opened major health centers, state of the art, fully equipped.
No, but the criticism have always been people go there and they don't get the right, they don't require. They have been asked to go to pharmacies.
I would respond to that. I'm talking about now in terms of investment. Yeah. In the space of
but investment doesn't stop at infrastructure.
Medical health.
There should be medicine.
But let's recognize that first. I'm coming.
Okay.
Medicine or medical care is a package. You cannot do this without basic infrastructure. You have to handle one at a time. We have delivered infrastructure in the land and bread of this country. We have refurbished significantly our Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital today. We have reopened Demban. We are building state of the art laboratory, national laboratory, that will take care of food and medicine. We are building a multi-million-dollar Farato Health Hospital that will not only handle cases in Gambia but even overseas when it's completed.
So maybe nobody will need to go to Dakar.
Okay, you have to understand this, Lamin. I am saying no matter how good you are, you will still have need, because you cannot get everything. There are special cases that need to be referred overseas because they are specialists in their nature and they are that complex in their nature. And we can be good in one, but may not be good in the other. That is just the nature of relations of our countries. And this is why we are going to Senegal. So going to Senegal is not a test for the state of the health care system in the Gambia, but rather the health outcome.
It may be
that matters here.
For example, this particular case, the old woman was supposed to go for a checkup, not just for a checkup.
No.
So you want to say we don't have the right facilities to do that kind of test here?
If you were handled overseas and you were treated there, you are required to go from time to time for medical checkup and treatment. Because
but the problem we have is that, Mr. C, we have basic things lacking, like CT scans. Those are basic things. We don't have to go elsewhere for those things.
No, I mean, you are saying basic things,
yes.
But there are so many basic things we also have. So many basic things that we have. Even those who are complaining about medicine, I'm not saying medicine is now available throughout, but you have to understand what provides medicine is also a chain. To provide medicine, you have to go through our rigorous administrative procurement restrictions and deliver drugs. You have to go through the regulatory test and control for you to be able to get those medicine. You also have to have the financial means to buy those drugs. So it's never going to be adequate, and it's not only inadequate, but it's also takes some time to deliver them. But let's recognize that the medical system is a system and it's a building block. We are getting there, but it will take some time. But honestly, we have to recognize, one thing we must recognize, despite all the noise, that we are better off today than we were 10 years ago, and we were certainly 30 or 40 years ago.
Didn't we have more resources now than before?
We have more resources now than before, obviously, and that's why we are also doing much better than we were doing before.
Okay, still about this. You said the government provides, well, we know government, Ministry of Finance provide a budget for Gambians who qualify and need to go abroad and at the state expense. What kind of people can benefit from this?
As a Gambian, you are qualified.
Even if you are not a civil servant?
A civil servant, non-civil servant. Private sector, public sector. All are qualified.
How do they go about this?
Put in once you are identified as a special need person recommended by the board, is submitted to the Ministry of Health. And as long as that budget line, the budget funds are available there, we'll take care of it.
So the patient will be taken to wherever he or she can.
The Edward Francis Omar Hospital and other hospitals have partner hospitals overseas, including Dakar, including India, in Europe and elsewhere. They will refer the files there, and when they got confirmation that, look, we think we can help here, we'll be able to handle it, their flight.
Still on the supposed letter, request letter, you said government will investigate. Probably you felt that the letter should not have been leaked, should not have been made public in the first place. But many people are arguing that that's a fundamental right. It could be a whistleblower who thought that this expenditure is illegitimate. So why are you investigating? What wrong must have the whistleblower done in leaking this?
One, the letter include matter of medical issues.
But it didn't specify. It didn't specifically specify what was wrong with the woman.
If the leaker had everything he wanted, he would have leaked the whole dossier.
But you said that there were other papers attached to that document. But
yes,
only this came out. So
yes, but maybe you didn't have the time to photocopy all of that. But by and large, I'm saying it's a financial transaction. By its nature, it's private, and leaking.
The fact that it deals with health matter, or the fact that it is, I mean, a document like that, you could say could I've not seen anywhere it's restricted or confidential. Not on that letter anyway. It might be in other.
Yeah, it's in a confidential file.
It's in a confidential file.
Yes.
Okay, and by law, what does that mean? No other eye apart from those concerns will see it.
Unless also there are other processes that allow it to be exposed.
Like for example,
if you want it,
and I went through
the access to information, you can request for information, and it will be provided. And like I said, even if it will be provided, there are ways and means how that can be provided, and without compromising the privacy of the individual. But I am saying the leaks didn't have happened. It has happened. The motive was very clear. It's exactly to have generated this kind of misinformation that is now out there in the public domain, that we are now trying to clarify and rectify. Now, it's a misconduct, and it's a grievous misconduct, is what it amounts to. And of course, it is punishable under the Public Service Regulation, and it's a dismissible offense. This is important because public servants have to understand and know what guide us as public officials. Now, on your argument, it's a legitimate public interest, and therefore anybody should publish this.
Yeah.
What is of public interest here? With respect to an old lady going for a medical checkup, how would that be a public interest to anybody?
Perhaps because there's general understanding that she does not qualify as a public servant. Now, from what you have talking now, you probably may need to do more work when providing the provisions or probably regulations or guidelines which qualified her, to be taken care of in this manner by the state.
And what
That's where the argument is.
But what qualify a legitimacy of public of an expenditure is not defined by the liquor. It's defined by the rules and regulations. Since that leak happened, has any justification been advanced by him or her or anybody that this is actually illegal? What is the illegality about this particular expenditure? We want to see that.
Okay. Probably it's that because he felt that the old woman does not fall in the category of president's family.
No, but I'm saying determined and judged by who?
Can you bring forward something that specifically said the president's parent is also part of the family as recognized?
Lami, show me anywhere that have defined the president family. And in our, if you just accepted with me that in our society setting,
yes,
a father and a mother is included.
Yes,
how can we make rules and regulation outside our society settings?
So does that mean that the president, apart from his children, his nephews and his brothers should...
You are now overextending the argument.
Because there's nothing there.
No. But at least let's have a common understanding. And one thing that we can understand and agree is that a father and a mother are part of a family. If we agree on that,
in our customs and traditions.
Exactly.
But again,
but we are also guided by custom and tradition in our formal settings.
Yeah, but must we use tradition and custom when it comes to appropriating?
Must we not use it? Funding? Are you saying we should do something different?
Okay.
If we
argument.
Yes.
Okay. Now, moving on now, because this is very common. You could see governments. Correspondence or documents, whether you call it classified or not classified, because again that's determined by you people. You see a lot of them in the public space, and many people appreciate it because they think it is exposing allegedly corruption and malpractices. Now that this case in particular is going to be pursued and investigated, wouldn't that be now a whole precedence that it will become now generally punishable for anybody who leaked any form of document, classified or not classified? Is it not going to allow you now to clamp down on so-called saboteurs, as politicians, some politicians will call it?
That is not determined, or that's not a call from me. That is a call from the Public Service Act and the Public Service Regulation. Saboteurs and leakers of confidential information have no business in the space of public administration. I am not the one saying that. That's our regulation, and until it is removed, that's what is it? Who is that to say now whistleblowers require protection and should be encouraged? But like I said, is it reasonable to expect that all government transactions and all government documents should be in the public space? Yes, I got it, that as government we are agents and we have our principles and we have responsibility and accountability to our principle, and that's Gambians. But that's why also you have a system. You have a system of accountability in government. And how that is ensured is that's why you have the police here. You have the Ministry of Justice. You have the National Audit Office there. These are mechanism and system of accountability that is provided for in our processes that demands and accounts for accountability. You also, further to that, also you have the processes and the procedures that you have to follow to ensure that accountability that is required is also given. If you have all of that in place and still you said all of this is not enough, now I need people in the systems to make sure that anything that is out there then is also exposed. You expose it, you have two ways, two consequences. Yes, you may certify public information, and issues that are of public concern and need to know would be known. But sometimes also the consequence and impact of that is that it's hurtful.
Normally,
to both public interest and as well as security interest. That is exactly what my point is. But don't make the mistake of only believing that only security materials are of the public. It should be of the public domain. There are certain confidentialities in terms of trade matters, in terms of financial contract matters, in terms of security matters that should also not be open in the open like that.
Okay, so in the event this leak, or what do you call it, is covered, is going to be dealt with according to the provisions in the civil service, the GO, whatever you call it.
Public service regulations. Yeah. And code of conduct.
Okay. So, just to wrap up this particular request for payment, I mean, of course you are investigating, but many people have jumped to the court. Where else could it have come from? Other than your office or the Ministry of Finance? Of course, investigation is going on, but where did your suspicion lie most?
No, my suspicion at the moment doesn't lie anywhere. Because I don't know. Because I don't know. And I have to find out, yes. But yes, the source information is from the office and the destination information is the Ministry of Finance. But in between, so many things can happen.
Yeah. Okay. All right, let's move on. Since you advise government too, one of the key issues also raging on this week has been the grimmed and emotionally distressful sight of people's houses being grazed to the ground by caterpillars, purportedly on the orders of the government, allegedly because these structures were put there illegally. Many people think the government should have approached the matter differently, be sympathetic to the families, and people said it's the failure of the government in the first place not to enforce known construction of things in that place, rather than wait until people have invested a lot of money and then to come and say, well, you were told in the first place not to do it, you do it, it's at your expense. People say the government should show more sympathy than it actually demonstrated in the case of the Salaji demolitions.
Now, the Salaji demolition of late, the demolitions,
yes,
are carried out by the department and the ministry that is mandated by law to do it, to carry it out. And I am sure they are carried out in a way and manner that also are stipulated by the process and the regulations. Yes, government must be empathic. Government also should look after the interests of its population, but government also must be strong and enforce the rule of law. What has happened in this case, from the briefing I show, is that you have a government estate. People who claim or have their ancestral land and we are not adequately compensated, when by selling public space in the context of cemeteries, mosque, playground, and schools. And these are the areas that have been demolished. Now, and we were told that compensation has been made in most of the instances. They may not be complete, but sometimes you have members within clan who have been compensated and not satisfied and went back and start selling those properties. But by the way, this is government estates, the two places in question. Now you tell me, government should not just have allowed people to occupy those spaces at the expense of the general interest of the locality or the residents. Or you are telling me perhaps you should not have waited
exactly
until those buildings were there before you move into demolish them.
Exactly.
But I also retorted by saying those buildings were sold to individuals who should also have known better. that even to build, you needed some permit. You needed to submit some plans. And it is only when those things are cleared before you build.
Yes.
All right. Now you defy and ignore all of that. You were then also cautioned and maybe staff notice. You ignored and continue to do what you are doing. Ultimately, when the process is exhausted, the ultimate is demolition. Nobody likes demolition because those monies spent there are monies that could have been spent elsewhere. But yes, we may have some difficulties in our system. It's not perfect, but certainly we can also ignore risk and illegality to also prevail in our towns and cities.
Yeah, but let's go back to enforcement. Like you said, okay, the people who build this might also have known that you need permit and they need to be told. They probably have been noticed to bring it. But then I told you, enforcement is where many people build. When if I park my car at the wrong place, in the next 5 minutes the police will come and say, no, you cannot park here. I mean, that is enforced to the letter. And many other places where I can't enter, or public cannot enter, or access is restricted, police and security are present there 24 hours. Now, supposing these places were also frequently visited by police, stopping people from constructing from day one, perhaps there wouldn't have been the construction in the first place. People would have known that this is no-go area. But if we said, well, we know it, we said this is a restricted area, don't go there, and we wait until you've done it and come back to demolish them. I mean, the very site of those things are definitely they are eyesores that can haunt the government's image.
Yes,
one way or the other.
No government would want to position yourself and put yourself in that kind of situation.
Yeah.
Especially going into an election year or calendar.
Yeah.
But something has to be done. You cannot ignore, overlook or continue to condone wrong. The bottom line is, like you said, enforcement. The police are asking you to move away when you wrong path.
Yes.
Simply,
almost instantly.
No, almost instantly because they are on the road.
Yeah, they couldn't have been there.
No, they couldn't have been there every time.
But they could frequently visit and they would have seen.
They are doing that, but not in the frequency and time periods that you would want. I'm not justifying their action because
private institutions like banks and others can request police presence in areas, physical planning can definitely request police presence frequently to stop people from.
No, it is not the police wouldn't know.
Yeah, I mean the physical planning could have requested.
No, I'm saying police couldn't know whether a particular building have the right permit and license to be put up.
Physical planning can request the police to go there and police those areas. That's possible. If private people can ask the police to come and help, then they do. Physical planning can research these areas.
If they have the master plan, knowing these are exclusively reserved for a particular purpose, yes, I am agreeing with you, and I am just simply saying, not that our system is perfect, and the side of demolition as last resort and very painful effort would only be exercised as an ultimate. But however, I am saying individuals and citizens also have responsibility. I cannot go knowing that this is a reserve land and then encourage into it and hoping that I can get away with it. I cannot go into a place reserved for hospital or school or playground and then occupy it. I mean, if we continue to tolerate that, then where are we heading?
That's very good. But if you look at the testimonies of some victims, I mean, you tend to have the idea that these people were completely innocent. They were actually victims of lack of information and manipulation by some other people. So what's the government going to do about it?
No, that's the point. Some other people, I mean, I empathize with those that are citizens. Perhaps if they didn't know that they are buying from the wrong owners. This is government estate, Lamin. Government estate is not the domain of individuals. Government estate is government estate. You want land from a government estate, go to fiscal planning or Department of Land. The problem government have in those estates is perhaps with the original owners. That transaction, that can be an argument whether it's completely compensated or not. But these people claiming that they own the government estate. The government estate, one declared, failed to be the private property of individuals. Now, how can now individual now set in public spaces reserved for specific purpose to individuals? And then those individuals will also fail to even go and secure a permit, ordinary permit, to say, please clear me to build this. Then you would have also saved yourself from this trouble. I'm not saying I like the side of it. No, it hurts everyone, but it's a responsibility one have to carry anyhow.
And the irony, many people say that just next to those lands, those vast areas, government will come and allocate it to business interests. Vast piece of land for business interest, yet you cannot relocate or perhaps consider compensating people who have been affected, whose circumstances might be different, some piece of land for them to dwell. Yet you will readily and very quickly degazzette something and give it a private business. Okay. Like in Salagi, for example, there have been incidents of a vast piece of land given to business interest, much to the chagrin and annoyance of the residents there. So if government can readily be available to help business interest, and it's been reluctant to do that for ordinary people who might have fallen victim to scammers or whatever, one way or the other.
Well, I mean, the very side of estate development, identification of estates, whether it is industrial or it is residence, is to support the people. How many estate government have built with social security? Several. And that is exactly to your point, to help the people. But I am saying estates are also designed and mapped in a way and manner that also allow for not only residents but all the other purposes. If you deny those spaces there, today we have seen the congestion in Serakunda and elsewhere, all because of lack of planning, and the consequences could be very expensive and costly. Now, to your point, if the government can degazzette and provide space for individual businesses, Lamin, in the country we have citizen, but we also have corporate citizen. We cannot do away with businesses. Businesses need industrial parks, industrial places also to strive and to create jobs. If you don't create it, then who will go? How are they going to get it? So this is not to say we are prioritizing industrial interest over individual interest. No, the industrial interest actually also is an extension of individual interest with respect to job creation. If those industries, how many people are we getting from our schools every day graduating? Where do you think they will go and earn money if we don't plan for them today? That's the point.
I see. Okay, let's move on now to another area that has been exercised in the people's mind in the last week or so on the conduct of the government, which you are a part. That is the election bill that went to Parliament, and there was a huge uproar when clause 14, which would have allowed the aspirants to have access to be registered and to vote, was put down by members of the National Assembly sympathetic to the governing National People's Party. People said they are only manifesting the position of the executive, in that there is no willingness on the part of the executive to give the diaspora a vote. You agree with this?
No, perhaps you should have better ask this question to Dawda Jallow. He's the Attorney General.
But you advise the government. You advise the government he served.
I advise the government he served in my capacity.
Yes.
In the area of my specialty.
Yes. That's Minister, you're supposed to know.
Yes, I'm coming. On the surface of it, it amounts to disrespect for the National Assembly, to anybody to think that the National Assembly basically is an extension of the executive.
Well, in many respects, that's what many people see, especially in matter of constitution and audit.
I don't agree. I am saying, in as much as possible in a democratic space, you expect equality between the three arms of government.
Yes, that's normally
that is what is expected.
Yes.
And that is what the National Assembly in this instance have demonstrated.
In many respects.
No, I'm coming. In many respects.
Yeah.
National Assembly have voted against government bills. In fact,
yes, that's right.
This particular bill was a government bill.
Yes.
It was the clause 14 that you talked about.
Yes.
Was a proposal from government.
Yes.
So if the National Assembly throw it out, you think then how can that is in fact an irony?
You're not aware of the allegations that the Minister of Justice went there, failed to defend this, and even had a caucus with a meeting with the majority caucus where it was allegedly anyway advised to put it down.
No, that's not true.
It happened there.
No.
People who said they witnessed, MPs said opposition MPs said they witnessed.
No, opposition MPs were not in that caucus.
They saw the caucus happening.
No, they were not there. How can you?
They believe there was this.
No, I mean, don't believe that. Please.
But anyway, the minister failed to defend it vigorously as he did with other bills.
No, hang on, Lamin. I'm saying the minister, this is the government bill. It was the responsibility of the minister who laid there.
Yes.
And he defended it with anyhow he could. He have gone into caucus to convince the majority side of members of parliament to support it.
Rather, it was the other way around. They was accused of discouraging them because the government's position is it should not have.
That's an allegation, Lamin.
People
don't fall for allegations.
Opposition MP said so.
Opposition MC who were not there.
They were there. They said
no. At least members of the members that were there, it would have been much more credible if they come out to say it. But that's not the case.
But is it coincidental that only the governing parties MPs voted against it? That's coincidental?
I don't know. Like I said, what informed you? No, I'm not a member, and I cannot. Like I said, they are independent of the executive, and they took their the independent.
But on this one, none of them voted outside. What do you expect?
They like I said, what I expected was for them to vote for it because it was a government-sponsored paper. It was our proposal.
Yeah, it could have been proposed.
Yeah. So let me
for the optics, but the MPs who are the last have been told in the behind the scene that the
MP that has the last say, but MPs that are also independent of the executive, they are not part of the executive.
They're supposed to be, but we should in many cases they speak the language of the executive.
But we have seen many times the MP demonstrate the independence of the executive by voting down proposal from government.
But we have also seen many times
what do you expect, because they are members of the NPP?
That's right.
But I'm saying if a proposal comes that they think they are in there is in the interest of who they represent, they will support
it's not in the interest of their supporters. So you are arguing that they are doing what the government's bidding.
No, I'm not saying that. Rather, you are saying that. I am saying we have seen situations where members supported government bills that they think are aligned to their constituency interests. But I have seen also members vote down government proposal if they think otherwise. That is just what I'm saying. But let's move on. And I am saying...
so what's your personal position on diaspora not being able to vote and the putting down or the voting down of clause 14?
No, my personal position with respect to this is exactly what the government submitted to National Assembly. Diaspora have right to vote, and is a right guaranteed under the Constitution. We only departed on the mechanism of how that would happen. So that is basically the debate on the table. But even the removal of this particular provision did not deny any National Assembly or any diaspora from voting.
No, the fact that they could register there, they will now have to come here to register, and that's what this provision was to prevent or help them.
Exactly the point. The point is that it is expensive for diaspora to come down and register and vote.
Yes.
Now and then they have to transfer that burden cost to government if the government can shoulder it, and that's the debate. If the mechanism and the means exist, then we should all explore it because they are part of us. They are our families.
Yeah, but the law must.
But let's not be
there. To allow it with the voting out of rejection of clause 14. The law itself is out of it, so nobody bothers anything.
No, the law still allow diaspora community to vote.
To be able to go and be registered there.
Yes.
That's what I'm talking about.
For them to be registered there,
and I know that it's impossible for all of them to be here during the registration time.
Yes, but you asked me to say what is your personal opinion on
what's
this?
your opinion?
And I said my personal opinion is aligned to the government opinion, and the government opinion is very clear, loud and clear. let's allow the diaspora to vote.
But the government go behind to attack the lawmakers who are matters not to vote.
That's a serious allegation.
Well, that's what the people believe.
No, what they believe, an allegation.
Are
not facts.
Okay, were you following parliament procedure in 2021 when the constitution suffered the same fate and I mean MPs of the governing party were openly celebrating the putting down of the draft? You didn't follow that?
Who were openly celebrating?
The government side of the MPs.
No, those were not government side of the MPs.
Where were
they? Those were UDP MPs.
I'm talking about.
No, I know what you mean.
Yes.
But the members.
Yes.
They never cross-carpeted. They resigned from MPP or they were sacked. MPP never existed then.
What matters is the political allegiance.
No.
They have moved their political allegiance from UDP to NPP and supported NPP.
NPP never existed.
No. Well, government.
NPP didn't exist that time. At that time, what you have also was a coalition government.
I agree.
No, hang on.
But those MPs who were celebrating after the putting down of the constitution, celebrating that it happened.
Yes.
They were sympathetic to the position of the government because the government came with a cabinet paper which suggests that the 2-term limit is discriminatory to the government, to the president sitting at that time, and also the powers that's been prescribed to be given to the parliament and other bodies is limiting the president's powers. That's what the position of the cabinet, and that's exactly what people in the parliament sympathetic to the government did, including those ones you said are UDP. Everybody would know that they were sacked by the UDP and shifted their allegiance to the NPP. So you can't call them UDP.
What were they?
They were
at the time.
At the time, they were independent.
Independent?
Yes, but in their minds,
independent.
Of course, they were independent. They've been sacked.
And
then they went to the independent. They become independents.
No.
That's what they call themselves after the several UDP.
But
they shifted allegiance. Everybody knows that.
But where are they?
They now think and act. According to what the government desires.
And then who was the government?
President Barrows.
Coalition government.
So this is the trouble. You people don't believe that President Barrows actually was a full-fledged president from 2017 to 2021. You call it a coalition government.
It's not a coalition government. What does it mean?
What is a government? A government that has a full term. What is it different from a government that's been elected?
No, it's different. A coalition government is government of coalition, of interest.
Didn't that stop in 2019? That's where it's supposed to stop. It did not stop.
It did not stop?
Yes.
No.
How can you call it a coalition?
When did they actually exit? One party.
It should have stopped in 2019 if you want to call it a coalition government. That's where it should stop. When the coalition instruments and everything was kicked out, it no longer became a coalition government.
No.
From 2019 to 2020, you cannot call it a coalition
government. The coalition government was voted for 5 years, Lamin.
Was voted, but
yes, that's just the reality.
But there was a promise that
people who voted.
Yeah.
We were voting for a full term.
But we were told that the president is going for 3 years.
No.
We were told by the president.
Personally, if I tell you the truth,
you didn't hear it?
No. When I was making my determination at vote, I didn't know that.
You didn't know the president said he's going for 3 years?
I was voting for a full term.
All the interviews the president had, you have never had that.
No.
You never saw him on video saying I'm going for 3 years. You didn't hear Khalifa Salah and others campaigning that their president, their winner, whoever win is going for 3 years. You've never had that? All the convention and all the campaigns, you never had it?
I wasn't paying attention to that as much as maybe you. But I'm saying when I was voting for a full term.
But you very well know there was a promise for 3 years.
Fine, that was a promise.
Yes.
Yes.
The promise not fulfilled.
Promise not fulfilled, yes.
So then there's no problem with that.
What's the problem with it?
Oh, so people can promise and don't fulfill it.
No, I'm not saying that.
You said there's no problem.
No, I'm saying a promise is
if you promise the public and you don't do it, so there's no problem.
If you promise the public
and you don't do it, so there's no problem.
And you don't do it,
yes,
and you provide explanation that is acceptable to the public.
What was this explanation?
That was why he was re-elected.
Okay, let's go ahead. Let's move on to finally the constitution itself, the 2024 draft. It's been withdrawn. Well, the government doesn't want to call it withdrawn, but rescheduled for presentation next June. Primarily because to allow room for consultations, more consultations. But people said it was only postponed. its fate will be decided. That the opposition, I mean, this time round, the opposition have the card in their hands because there are numbers needed for it to pass. They are not going to do it. So the government just withdrew it now, hoping there will be a concession, but it is just delaying what will be the eventual fate. What do you think of that?
No, if the government know what the eventual fate, they would not have maybe withdrawn it, or not withdraw, or postpone it, or reschedule it. If we knew that ultimately postponement is to no effect, the ultimate outcome would be a failure, then there is no point. But we believe that there is room for consensus on this, and the possibility exists that with more time for dialogue, it's just possible that we can converge somewhere and agree on a way forward on this matter. That is just the art of constitution building or legislative process. You have to gauge the mood, engage in consultation, and also monitor your numbers. If you have it, then you go for it. If you don't have it, you can delay it as much as possible.
You must have had the uproar that greeted the publication of that 2024 with not just opposition, but people of right thinking in the society saying that that constitution is self-serving. It doesn't reflect, the aspirations of the majority of the Gambia. People said it, not just opposition, but people of right standing in the community said that. If you had to advise the government about it, what are you going to say?
What is important really, Lamin, is that the government have responded to the aspiration and need of Gambian, and that is every Gambian you ask, they said they want a constitution. What we have at the moment is 1997 constitution. We have the 2020 draft that was rejected by National Assembly, a 1997 constitution that most Gambian or all of us want replaced. Yeah. And then a compromise draft has been sent, and that's the 2024 draft. Now, how that is perceived otherwise, I don't get it. And I am saying 1997, we said we don't want it. We want it replaced. And the position of Fourier or Doi at the time was, look, if instead of taking this elaborative process of constitutional building, why do we go for an amendment of 1997 constitution? But we opted for a new constitution development. We went there 2024, it didn't pass. And then a 2020 draft. The 2024 is not a new draft. It's actually a variation taking into consideration the basis and ground for which it was rejected by the National Assembly. Now, that is not very different from the 2020 draft.
So you hopeful that it will pass?
I think I am quite optimistic, like even the opposition members have said more than ever, that at least with further engagement and negotiation, we should be able to get the constitution passed. Bearing in mind that, like I said, the intent and commitment of government here cannot be questioned, because we have expended a lot of millions into the process, and we have engaged extensively on the process. So
we will continue on the brunch just after this little break. We will wrap up. Stay around until we come back after these few minutes.
Jamano Money Transfer Bureau de Change, your go-to option when it comes to money transfer. With Jamano, you can send money from anywhere in the world to your family and loved ones in the Gambia and be sure the funds will be delivered to them within the shortest time possible. For your convenience, funds sent through Jamano Money Transfer can be picked from all the banks and multiple other financial institutions, including Ajib Bank, Trust Bank, GT Bank, Mega Bank, Basic Bank, Reliance Financial Services, and Approved Services. Visit our head office at Bruceby opposite AfricMed next to Trust Bank Limited, or email us at info@jamanomt.com. You can as well call us on 310-3050 or 310-3051, or yet still 733-0688. Our opening hours are 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday to Saturday and 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Sunday. Jamano Money Transfer, your most trusted money transfer service where customer satisfaction is paramount. When you think of a simple, fast, and reliable money transfer, think Jamano Money Transfer.
Agada
ke mbijan aganya
albaka
mbaka important
yo nga transfer la sto
ya transfer la
ha code nyinji
okay
portana
nsila id soto
sa so sorry agada
mbijan bro
albaka
mbaka
bara alla service o tariya
mbale
ki janna nun kunu bara tariya
jannom yona forest de bureau gambia tonkon nano mbali ya bere birin koyna fo kato
bari si kodo kino kato nim fo bolong blabe to
56 branches mola soto gambia jam
ha
gambia kono anin gambia bantala bankol nko kodo kiya bere kodo sifa fo falindiro fo nyaadi lafta memmen na kodi to poto nin kodi maraw jannom number 1 di nyonta andum fana nata anoda enterprise sotale wala nyindi ko domorol fana kol fana be firale de dadi mani domorol dil fana beteat gambia dawda yalo ngam fa kendol sotale je
wo moyo diat
apelenta
baraka ni lafta nyelen kendol e bina
yalo bu kanyi la ko la baraka ba
yalo ndel chosano lo
baraka.
Islamic microfinance is becoming an increasingly popular mechanism for poverty alleviation, especially for developing countries around the world. This microfinance service adheres to the principles of Islam as a form of social responsibility. Yona Islamic Microfinance is the Islamic microfinance of choice in the Gambia, trustworthy and reliable. At Yona Islamic Microfinance, we provide savings products, current accounts, financing products in conformity with Islam. In addition, Yona Islamic Microfinance also offers local and international remittances.
Welcome back to the brunch on Kerfatu Live. We are with the Minister for Presidential Affairs and Chief of Staff, Alhaji Modke Seka. Modke Ceesay, rather, that's a Seka. Modke Ceesay, who's been with us over the last hour or so. Now, Mr. Ceesay, another thing that has been exercising the minds of the people, and you, of course, sit in government, now you're presidential advisor, chief of staff, and that is the economy. The government always claimed that the policies it is pursuing have made essential commodities easily accessible and reasonably cheap. But what people find in the markets, what people find in shops, speaks of a completely different thing. Don't you think now it is even more measures in trying to control living cost of Gambians?
And if I may ask, Lamin, exactly what are you thinking? In what kind of measures are you thinking?
Well, not long ago, the president was meeting Muslim leaders. He said price of rice has been as cheap now as $1,700. Many people came to say, well, They don't think that is existing. The president has been misinformed, or probably his government has not is not very much updated with the escalating living cost in the Gambia.
The president didn't say 1,700. The president he said 10,700 and 1,900.
Yes.
That's what he said.
Yeah, but if you go now,
generally.
Yes, if you go now,
on
you don't find that in the market.
Because you are looking the wrong price, the wrong place. The president data source is the Ministry of Trade. The Ministry of Trade track wholesale data prices. And wholesale data prices are better priced by the government arm, and that is GGC. And the kind of prices you're talking about, rice have premium rice, you have ordinary rice. You have different brand of rice as well. So, president was not entirely wrong, and is not wrong when he quoted a wholesale price for a particular category of prices that is sold by GGC. And that's the whole price. But now you go there and then you ask for a retail price. The response to this is very simple. What price are you talking about? Let's define the price and then ask. People went for a retail price somewhere, maybe in Farafenye and in Basse or in elsewhere. That also will factor in transportation costs. The data the president was talking about is a wholesale price that were available with GGC. Yes.
Okay, and at the same place, he talked about religious leaders. Allegedly, even the Minister of Religious Affairs said that there are imams who go about preaching political matters that they may not know very much or too much about. And then, in fact, in other countries, imams don't have the freedom of doing their own sermons. The sermons are dictated to them by the state. Many people take this to be an interpretation that the president now is trying to intimidate the imams for not talking about contemporary issues. For example, allegations of corruption in his government. Even though, as he was speaking, some imams were in fact delivering sermons talking exactly about corruption and other things. But many people believe the president was trying to intimidate them. How do you react to that?
I didn't see any intimidation, and I was on the ground. I was seated there.
Okay.
And nothing in that president's statement, either by way of delivery tone or context, suggests in any way or shape the president intimidating Imam. If you know the president, that is not his style, that is not his nature. What the president...
Why does he feel angry sometimes at such functions? People said he was even talking angry.
I mean, what do you want me to respond to?
What he said and what his comportment looked like.
His comportment on the day was perfect, was excellent.
People said he was angry.
No. I mean, we all have our different style of speaking. We have our own different style of delivering our opinions. That wasn't the first time the president was speaking the way he was speaking. He speaks like that. Yes, that's how he speaks.
Oh, we have seen other forums where presidents much way lay back and much
of course, depending
more conciliatory tunes than
every audience, every place will dictate a tone.
Exactly. That was supposed to be a very peaceful and very harmonious meeting.
And it was.
But he was talking on the top of his voice, saying,
yes,
giving examples. Let's
put it into context.
Yeah.
The president was rather even appealing to imams that when you have your podium, because you are opinion leaders, use it for good cause and use it to preach peace. That is exactly what the situation demanded. I mean, he's simply saying that there are certain instances you will delve into situation that, and if you criticize government, but you would not have got the context or the information fully to make that kind of judgment. And he just simply give an extreme situation where, and that is a fact. I saw so many people fact check it and say it's not true, but that's the truth. In so many Arab jurisdictions, summons are given to imams by the state. and not a comma is even changed. The sermon become a universal message. It does happen. This was just an example. This is not to suggest
in autocratic states.
Yes, but I'm saying
autocratic Muslim states.
But they are Muslims,
Okay.
and I'm saying
We don't want to be autocratic.
No.
So it's just not to give examples of autocratic systems. And trying to say what we could have done, but we are not doing it.
What better example we would have cited in places that we look up to as number one or leader of Islamic State or leader of the Islamic Ummah?
So now you are naming the places that these things are happening.
No,
you are insinuating.
I'm just insinuating, and those are places that we all idealize and we all look up to. So if they are good, if they are actually good example of Islamic Sharia systems, how can we condemn it here? I'm not saying in terms of governance. Yes, I agree with you. They are autocratic, they are dictators. But in terms of Islam, are we saying what they are doing is condemnable, is wrong? I will not do that. I don't think
there are countries where you can't criticize the queen, rather the monarch or the religion. That's true. But we, in our context, people should be free to discuss and to inform the public what they think about what is happening in their country. So the president and the minister's tune, according to some people on that day, appears to be that they are trying to stifle the voice of dissent, even coming from the Islamic leaders or even journalists. I'm not talking about journalists, because if I do that, you say I'm coming from biased point of view. But then let's talk about religious leaders. I mean, even after I saw through Imam saying that, who are these people to tell us, why and what we should preach?
Yeah, you say two Imam and two Imam that reacted by saying, who is the president or
who can tell us what to say?
Yes, but I have seen also Imam who come up and said the president was just simply telling the truth. And also appreciating that if the president do not preach peace and ask the Imam to preach peace, then who else can champion and if you also request for that? He's the leader of the country. I am saying I was there, and nothing in that statement suggests any threat or any attempt to stifle anyone. It's simply not true. It wasn't.
And the president also said that there are media houses who are always interested in setting fire on things that will set the country on fire. I mean, that is quite a serious allegation. As to quote your style, that's a very serious allegation. Media houses that will set the country on fire.
Okay, again, context matters a lot.
What context is it?
He said some social media posts.
No, he said.
No.
There are media houses. Some of them online.
Exactly.
Some of them here. And
online.
Some of them here.
Well, online.
Online. No, he didn't.
Largely online.
Oh, you mean he's talking about online, not here?
Largely online. And I am saying, if you have a media situation where no good news is good news, but all about negativity and criticism and condemnation, then actually what are you advocating, or what are you doing? I mean, if everything that you do from Monday to Friday or even weekend is all about anti-government and hate statements that we see on social line, people insulting each other, people castigating each other, people exporting private matters of individuals, people even in some extreme situation, even calling for the head of somebody. That is how bad the situation have degenerated into, and we are all here seeing it. I mean, somebody have to condemn it, and the president cannot be left behind. That is just what he is calling for. But you have to also give the president a credit. This is the president that have grown the media space into where we are today, without ever even detaining a journalist.
Well, there were cases of detention.
But not imprisonment, right?
Detention that list of
anyway, no.
And there have cases of
detention that lead to imprisonment, but which have never been the case anyway.
Well, thank you.
You are just ordinarily called by your friends to for over 80, and then we moved on. And that's the job of the police anyway. They should be able to do that, and they should allow the space to do that. But we also have to celebrate and recognize also where we have to recognize. Indeed. So this is a situation. So how can that same president who have invested and care for that for so much without turn back and dismantle and destroy his own legacy on this? It doesn't make sense.
And talking about legacy, finally, many people reacted with disappointment in some quarters, and some people saying, well, that they think the president has missed an opportunity to set a legacy that will really give him more glory, or whatever glory he may get from his tenure. And that's the idea of putting an example and showing tangible commitment to 2-term limits by declaring that he is not going beyond 2 terms. But when he spoke the other day and said, well, he had considered it, but because of his party, many people in the party believe that the party is too young, and if he leaves, the party may die, as other leaders or other parties happen when their leaders left. Some people reacted with disappointment. Others said, well, perhaps it's a missed opportunity for him to leave a legacy that would have given more glory than that. So, if you are to advise the president, which you do, for his political future, would you tell him to consider not to run? Would you see that legacy as the best, or you will, as his political allies will do, go as much as you can?
Listen, again, I judge the president based on what he have demonstrated. He have presented to Gambian a constitution that has term limit, a constitution that had most of what the Gambians have wanted. And we have seen a situation where at some point in his first term, members of parliaments or members of a certain group that that are advocating for actually 2-term limit today, that had the opportunity to have amended if they actually have cared very much about 2-term limit the way they care about age limit. And I am and the president, if we are really serious and committed to the 2-term limit, let's vote this particular election that have 2-term limit. The 2-term limits are there. Being very close to the president, I know the president believes in 2 terms limit, and this president have no problem serving 2 term and even exiting. But again, what he will do and what he will not do, I cannot determine that. I can only advise him, and he's the boss, and he's make his choices.
And what advice would that be? If, for example, where there is choice between go ahead as long as you are allowed by the constitution and quit to set a good example.
Like I said, I can only judge him based on what I hear him say. He said
he had considered quit. Yeah. But then again he thought about it.
And he believes in it.
He had always believed in it.
And he presented a constitution that had 2 terms.
Yeah, only that
as Gambia, let's respond to that and let's not the president determine that for us. Let's get the constitution determine that for us.
Yeah,
that is more durable and that's more secure. I think that's more important.
His critics said he allegedly instigated his MPs to vote down that constitution because he didn't agree with the starting of that 2 terms in 2021. But now he's happy because now, he has served his 1st term. No, so now if there is 2-term limit, he's happy that it will pass because he would then be able to be eligible for the election, more election beyond 2026.
Number one, I disagree with the allegation that he instigated.
Well, that's what.
So,
But that's what.
Yeah, but it's an allegation.
But we covered that.
It's not true.
Okay.
It's not true. However, what is true is that the president,
but the strongly the MPs and his position.
The president strongly disagree with retroactive application of the start of his term.
Yes, that's true.
That's what he disagreed.
Yes.
But the president never disagree with the term limit.
Okay.
If that constitution has part with the term limit, he would comply with it.
Okay.
And I said today he believes in term limit, and he have demonstrated that by also bringing in a constitution that have term limit. Let the people decide.
Okay. Now, but that doesn't change the fact that it is by international good practice, ECOWAS, regional protocols and recommendations have all said, in principle, what they desire is for human beings, not constitutions, but people. Moses say, if you serve 10 years or, two terms of 10 years or 4 years, you leave because of its potentials to bring in stability. Growth of democracy in the region. That is what ECOWAS wants. Today, you can dispute that fact that is ECOWAS' number one desire. That is for presidents to observe 2-term limits. They were disappointed with Senegal when President Macky Sall wanted to renege on that. ECOWAS expressed their disappointment. They were very instrumental in our own history of the 10 years. So one can safely say they will be disappointed when they hear President Barrow saying, I considered to go, but now I'm not going.
No.
They will be. Of course, they will be disappointed.
Let's understand. Let's also, it's important context matters. ECOWAS frown against constitutional manipulation. You cannot have a constitution that have term limit and then you ignore it, and because of one technicality or the other.
That. They said categorically they prefer 2 terms. You cannot say they didn't say that.
No, but
you said it's true, but they also mean categorically.
I am talking about what is in the resolution and what they prefer.
Yes.
What is in the resolution is they are strongly advocating and frowning against constitutional manipulation.
But they are strongly advocating for each president to observe 2 terms.
That's an advocacy.
Yes.
That's a preference, but not in the resolutions. Now, I'm saying if this is in our constitution, I tell you, President Barrow will accept it, obviously.
Well, he could have said there in 2021. He missed the opportunity.
Was it up to him to do that?
We have passed
that. And I'm saying, like I said, let the Gambia make a determination of that, and that's more important to me.
And not the president.
Not the president.
But the president can always let the constitution said that the president cannot choose and say, okay, I want 2 terms. I'm very much committed to it. I want to put it here as my legacy. Just as he's so proud of the roads in the urban and rural areas as his legacy, he would, many people, not me, right-thinking people, said his most glorious legacy would have been, look, I have served 2 terms. I've always propagated for term limit. I'm going to set the example. I am not contesting 2026 so that anybody who comes here again will follow my example. People say this more of a glory than what he might have.
I agree, but
I don't mean that
no.
People
I
read and follow.
Yes. My response.
Yeah.
I receive you at State House, and here I hear you and Samsa made a very strong statement. Mr. President, let's do away with the unfriendly draconian laws.
Yes.
In our statutes.
Yes.
And the president's response was that, does it really matter for you? Am I using it?
But what did we say?
What did you say? You said, we would rather get that determined for us by statute.
Yes.
And not your
goodwill.
Exactly. My response is that
I
would rather have the 2-term limit determined by statute and not goodwill of anybody.
so we cannot rely on any goodwill.
Thank you.
Honorable Ceesay, thank you very much for being on the brunch. We appreciate when government officials come to the show because it allows and enables the public to hear from, the other side, and that's what you have provided us the opportunity. We want to thank you profoundly for coming here. If you have one word or two for the viewers, we'll be appreciated.
For the viewers, it's a pleasure, and like I said, as public officials, it's our responsibility and duty to share information with the public as much as we can, and to basically respond to such kind of invitation. To thank Kerfatu and your good self also for giving me the opportunity to share an insight over current affairs, like you put it, from the perspective of government. That's always important.
Guys, thank you very much. This has been The Brunch. We will be back on Saturday. Goodbye for now.
Islamic microfinance is becoming an increasingly popular mechanism for poverty alleviation, especially for developing countries around the world. This microfinance service adheres to the principles of Islam as a form of social responsibility. Yona Islamic Microfinance is the Islamic microfinance of choice in the Gambia, trustworthy and reliable. At Yona Islamic Microfinance, we provide savings products, current accounts, financing products in conformity with Islam. In addition, Yona Islamic Microfinance also offers local and international remittances, takaful fund, management of zakat, management of awqaf, trading and investment, and building of strategic partnerships to bring financial services to the doorstep of the poor with donor projects, madrasas, youth organizations, women groups, and farmer organizations. Make a choice with Yona Islamic Microfinance today. For more information on Yona Islamic Microfinance, call 377-2151 or 9832-151 or visit Yona head office at Tipa Garage, Bakote, or visit any Yona branch located countrywide near you.
Jamano Money Transfer Bureau de Change, your go-to option when it comes to money transfer. With Jamano, you can send money from anywhere in the world to your family and loved ones in the Gambia and be sure the funds will be delivered to them within the shortest time possible. For your convenience, funds sent through Jamano Money Transfer can be picked from all the banks and multiple other financial institutions, including Ajib Bank, Trust Bank, GT Bank, Mega Bank, Basic Bank, Reliance Financial Services, and Approved Services. Visit our head office at Bruceby opposite AfricMed next to Trust Bank Limited, or email us at info@jamanomt.com. You can as well call us on 310-3050 or 310-3051, or yet still 733-0688. Our opening hours are 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday to Saturday and 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Sunday. Jamano Money Transfer, your most trusted money transfer service where customer satisfaction is paramount. When you think of a simple, fast, and reliable money transfer, think Jamano Money Transfer.
Agada.
Mbijan aganya.
Albaka.
Mbaka important.
Yo, nga transfer la sto.
Ya transfer la sto.
Ha, code nyingi.
Okay. Important. Nsila ID soto.
Ah, soto. Sorry. Agada.
Mbijan bro.
Albaka.
Mbaka.
Bara alla service o tariya.
Ah,
mbare mo ki janna nun kunu bara tariya.
Ah, jannom yona forest de bureau. Gambia tonkon na no mbari ya bere. Ha. Birim koyna fo katon.
Bari si kodo kino katon nim fo bolong blabe no.
56 branches mola soto Gambia jam.
Ha?
Ha. Gambia kono ani Gambia bantala bankol. Nko kono kiya bere. kodo sifa fo falindiro fo nyaadi lafta memmen na kodi topoto nin kodi maraw jannom number 1 di nyonta andum fana nata anoda enterprise sotale wolam nyindi ko domorol fana kol fana be firale le dadi ma nin domorol dir fana beteata gambia dawda yalo ngam fa kendol sotale je
wo moyo diat
a felenta
baraka ni ma lafta nyelen kendol e bina
yalo bu kanila ko la baraka ba
yalo ndel ciosano lo
baraka